There's also a different congressional race that we'll be following in August. This one involves the Southwest Washington congressional seat of Republican Jaime Herrera Beutler from Battleground. She was one of just 10 Republicans who voted to impeach then President Trump, and Trump has now endorsed her Republican challenger, Joe Kent. Two political reporters from the New York Times talk about Herrera Beutler in their new book, This Will Not Pass. I got a chance to sit down with them earlier today. Reporters Jonathan Martin, there with the plaid coat, and Alex Burns have covered national politics for 15 years. They're based in Washington, D.C. In their new book, This Will Not Pass, Trump, Biden, and the Battle for America's Future, they write about the significant test democracy underwent during 2020 and 2021. The reporters got firsthand accounts of closed-door meetings among Republicans after the attempted insurrection of January 6th. They documented how Southwest Washington's Congresswoman Jaime Herrera Beutler argued to leadership that Trump should resign.
Nobody was more emphatic in the days after January 6th about calling Trump to account, in private at least, than Jaime Herrera Beutler. She confronted the leadership of her own party in the House and said, perhaps you and the Senate leadership should go to the president and urge him to resign. Tell Donald Trump get out of office before January 20th to stop this political emergency in America. We know that she said that at a private House GOP meeting shortly after January 6th. That was discussed, as you also heard from Kevin McCarthy talking about doing the same thing, telling Trump to resign. That's where this was. That's the height of this crisis after January 6th. Donald Trump represents a clear and present danger to American democracy. How do we get him out of office before his term expires? And to go from that sort of concern, that alarm that Jaime Herrera Beutler had, to basically silence about Donald Trump or anything surrounding January 6th tells you a lot about the state of GOP politics and what it takes to get renominated in the Republican Party today.
Part of the book also deals with the riots in Portland, made worse when President Trump sent federal forces in to defend the federal courthouse. They detail how Governor Kate Brown's administration got warnings from some inside the Trump administration that things were likely going to get worse.
When people in the Brown administration, hearing from people in the Department of Homeland Security, you got to proceed with caution here, because not everybody here, meaning the Trump administration, not everybody here wants to de-escalate this. And that's a really sort of stark warning to get from inside a president's own inner circle, that we seem to be heading towards open conflict between people on the streets of a major American city, federal agents, local and state law enforcement, and the president himself might actually not want to take down the temperature for political purposes.
And certainly that is exactly what happened. When the federal agents came in, things just took off. And then we saw in the news conferences Portland being called out specifically for anarchy and all that. And
that's by design, right? That's not the president sort of mismanaging a situation, unfortunately, with some sort of uncomfortable consequences. No, that's escalation for political purposes.
Exploiting unrest and really sort of tragic events explicitly for his own political gain.